The idea being that in many mainstream Hollywood films, the body, while there are a lot of films about action and sort of, sex and action and, where you would think the body is involved, the way that montage or the way that editing has evolved from the set through technology to the screen. I just wonder what your initial reaction to that as an idea or a thesis?
Well, I think you could say the same thing about radio interviews and the voice, because what is almost toxic on radio is dead air, and if somebody pauses in an interview, those pauses can be very significant, but if they last more than a second or two, they get cut out or severely diminished. Or if somebody says, too much during an interview, or which are indications that they're thinking about what the question is and how best to answer it, those also tend to get cut out. So there is an equivalent restriction in film editing. Having said that, when I look at dailies and I find a particularly good pause or breath or look, I will make note of that just as much as I will make note of a good line reading or a good piece of action, because at the right moment, those things can be very useful to me. A certain kind of film, the opening of Fincher's film about Facebook, that opening scene, there are no pauses at all, certainly from the guy. That's a style of editing, a very fast rat-a-tat type editing, which has long roots in the past. So I don't fully agree with you in the sense that it's a stylistic thing. It depends on the kind of film that it is. Right. The equivalent would be, what kind of music are you writing? Is it Debussy or is it hip hop? They're just very different styles of rhythm.
Yes. I think your engagement with film as something that is embodied is so deep and wide, and it feels like it comes up in many different, both metaphors and in the practicalities. Mm-hmm. When you stand to edit, and you've talked about this on camera before, but I hope you don't mind me asking for this piece. When you stand to edit, what does that do for the audience? What does that do for what happened on set? What does it do for you as an editor? Mm-hmm. I kind of want to get a sense for this ecology of filmmaking.
Two things. One of them has nothing to do with any of those questions. It's just a healthier way to work. There are many articles online where you can read "Your chair is your enemy." Mm-hmm. People who sit for long periods of time every day have shorter lifespans and less healthy lifespans. So it was something that I started doing. I started working standing up back in the mid-'60s because you had to do it in those days. The machine required you to do it. Right. And then the machines changed in the 70s, and you in fact were encouraged to sit down. And that's where I felt the emergence of the problem. Began to have stiffness in the shoulders and back problems. And so I I rebelled against that in the 80s and have been re-standing ever since. The other question, you know, there are wonderful editors who do not stand. So I can't say that, you know, you could quantify any of these things. I think there's something to be said that there's a close linguistic link between kinesthesia and kinematics cinema. And what I feel when I stand is that I'm standing for the same reason that orchestra conductors stand, or that cooks stand, or that surgeons stand. All of those things, and there are many more besides, all of those things are extremely time dependent. You have to flip the egg at a certain moment. You have to get the downbeat at a certain moment. You have to snip the artery at a certain moment. You can't, you have to harness yourself to the stream of time that is in front of you. And that's a very good description of editing. And I feel that if you're standing, those rhythms get encoded in more of your body than they do if you're sitting. That if you're sitting, essentially you turned yourself into a paraplegic, and the bottom half of your body is just not doing anything. The editor is working during the filming of the shot, and he's the only one who has the potential to not know certain things. And I want to be able to exercise my right to not know about certain things, because then I have a different point of view on the material, whereas everyone else, the cinematographer, obviously, the director, obviously, the actors, yes, set designers, they're on set all the time. And so they know that, and it definitely steers their opinion of the material to have been present at the birth of the material, which can sometimes be bloody.